and I will turn my mic on. Please state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes. Welcome, DeAndre.
I'm gonna wait till it quiets down. Just because I'd had the same hospitality. All right, thank you. How you doing, everybody? My name is DeAndre Jones. I prefer D Jones. Stay at 967 Tamarack Avenue, Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49504. First of all, I'd like to thank Kent County Commissioner Carol Hennessy. She isn't here, but she showed up to my esports competition. She's my commissioner on the west side, but she came to show me love on the south side, and I really appreciate that because I do the same for anybody on this commission if you guys ask me to come support anything that you guys are doing. I also want to thank Kent County Sheriff's Department because Kent County Sheriff Jose Douglas came to my esports competition. He was there. He got to watch people compete online. He got to watch esports in person. He got to watch some of our underserved community, people from the hood, people that don't get a lot of resources and opportunity. He actually got to watch those people compete in person and play NBA 2K. It was a powerful experience. And I just really appreciate that because I worked so hard I give everything that I have every single day. I can't fake it. You can look on my Facebook, my LinkedIn. You can literally watch the step-by-step progress, and everybody can say DeAndre isn't lying, D. Jones isn't lying. He really went out in the community in 90 days and went to Lowell and went to Ada and went to Sparta and went to Rockford. And I know I felt out of place. I didn't feel out of place, but I could just feel the awkwardness of just being around predominantly white neighborhoods and being a black person and trying to come to your neighborhood and trying to create change. And I can understand those barriers. But hey, I don't see ethnicity or color. I see human beings. I see spirits. I see souls. And everybody doesn't see it like that. But I'm just really happy that Kent County actually gave me support. The $250 definitely went a long way, but I definitely just appreciate the Kent County Sheriff's Department to be there because I actually got to educate people. When they get locked up here in the city of GR, they happen to get transported to Kent County Jail. And so now they actually got to meet a Kent County Sheriff and actually learn the difference of that. I also just wanted to just say, I've never asked you guys for anything, but if you guys can guide me to some resources or give me some resources and funding to continuously do my esports competitions. I had Ferris State University at my competition. I had a college, the only college that has the only esports degree in the state out of the Division 1s, 2s, whatever, the best of the best colleges. Ferris State University came here and helped me and put together my esports competition. They educated the community, regardless of who it was, on esports, the opportunities that could be created, and I can see myself when I get rich donating thousands or millions of dollars to that university to continuously build esports programs to make sure that I liquidate the school and make sure that kids are truly getting the opportunities. And I'll continuously do it. I know I'm going to get there. I'm on Microsoft. That's a $2 trillion company. I did a TV interview here in the city of GR, and it got on Microsoft, which is a $2 trillion company. I'm just asking y'all, look, I don't need y'all admiration, nothing. I just need y'all support because I know what I can do. I even got Grand Rapids Gold to partner with McDonald's. They were right next to each other, and now they're creating synergy. That's because of something I did. That is extremely powerful. I don't ask y'all for a lot, but I need some resources to continuously do this.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment today? All right, seeing none, our next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which it includes the minutes from April 18 and other checks and purchasing activity. There's moved and supported. Any questions or comments or changes to the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is from Kent County Community Action, and it's to amend the 2022-2023 Weatherization Assistance Program grant.
Action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to accept and appropriate $106,904 in additional grant funds from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Weatherization Assistance Program, LIHEAPWAP, to the 2022-23 Kent County Community Action Fund, contingent upon execution of an amended grant agreement, and to authorize the board chair or designee to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. Summary of requests. The Board of Commissioners previously appropriated $264,384 in grant funding along with $28,398 in general fund transfers for the 2022-23 LIHEAP-WAP program with Resolution 0908-2296. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services has made an additional $106,904 available for KCAA to increase services through the end of September 2023 for a total grant award of $371,288. The additional funding will allow KCAA to weatherize up to 15 more homes for low-income homeowners throughout the county. The grant term is October 1, 2022 through September 30, 2023. Corporate Counsel will review and approve all documents as to form prior to signature.
All right, thanks, Al. Is there a motion for this item? Moved by Commissioner McLeod. Is there support? Support by Commissioner Antor. Questions or comments regarding this grant? Thought you looked like you might have a question. Commissioner Kallman.
It's not really a question, but after this meeting, I'll be starting the shorter acronym caucus, if anybody wants to join me.
Sounds good. That's a mouthful. Well, we have Gustavo Perez here, if you have any questions or comments regarding the grant. Did you want to speak to anything today while you're here? Thanks for joining us.
Yes, of course. Thank you for bringing this up. We're excited. We're actually on pace. It's called LIHEAP. That's how we've shortened it for ourselves. But we're excited because this will allow us to partner with our DOE grant to be able to do more homes in the community. And we're actually ahead of schedule with our LIHEAP grant, which is why the state reached out and said, hey, can you spend this down? And I said, hey, perfect timing. We're ahead of schedule. So I want to just really, it's a tribute to the team right now. We're really focusing on getting these homes weatherized in record time, and we're kind of moving along. And so we appreciate the board's support.
If I could mention too, KCAA is started. They're in full force with our lien consultant. So Richard Fleming's working with them, and weatherization is kind of their first process project to take a look at, so.
It is going really well.
Sounds like it, having that opportunity. Commissioner Oliver King.
Thank you. If I read correctly, this will allow you to do 19 more homes, is that correct?
It should be somewhere about 15 more homes.
So what's the total amount of homes are you doing under this grant?
So under this grant, I have just my notes here, but we have, we're going to be able to do between up to 50 homes. Right now, we're on schedule to do about 34 homes now. We were only supposed to do 25, so we're way ahead of schedule, doing about 34 homes. This will allow us to get to about 50 homes. With this particular grant, with our DOE grant, we're on pace to do 52 homes.
Commissioner Sparks, did you have a question?
I do.
Okay. Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Chair. So I just wanted to say, great job with kind of turning this around, because the last few years it's been slow moving, and so it's really nice to see that the state is offering more money because you're, ahead of schedule, which is something we haven't seen in quite some time. And so I just wanted to give you and your staff, just congrats on, really read whatever you're doing. I know that the chair said that you're going through some lean programming for this particular program, but whatever you're doing is working well. And I just wanted to know, in general, so you're ahead of schedule this year, which is great. You're going to get more funds to do this. Do you think that your estimate for next year might be increased based on the changes that have been made so far?
We're going to be, excuse me, we've added some staff, we've made some offers, so I feel with that, we'll definitely be able to move a little, actually expand and be able to do more homes. So that will definitely help. So the goal is right now to improve our process that we have with the people that we have, so when we bring on new people, we're going to just be able to move that much quicker and do more homes.
Okay. So is the addition of staff what you feel was kind of what took you, what kind of allowed this process change to be moving forward the way it did? Because I know that there was some significant understaffing there for some time.
And we're still at the same current staffing levels, so we said, we've been moving along trying to get the positions posted and be able to find some really good people. And we have a few start dates for them. So really the focus was what do we have now? What can we try to improve at this moment so that as we bring in more people, the process is already as efficient as it can be with what we have.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, our next item on the agenda, it comes from the Administrator's Office. And the Grand Rapids Community Foundation Fund for Community Good grant to support the Kent County Welcome Plan.
Action requested, recommend to the Board of Commissioners to accept and appropriate $10,000 from the Grand Rapids Community Foundation Fund for Community Good grant to the 2023 Kent County Welcome Plan budget in the Special Projects Fund and authorize the Board Chair or his designee to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. Summary. The overall vision of the Kent County Welcome Plan is to create a welcoming and inclusive community for new Americans and implement a series of community goals and recommendations in 5 priority areas. These focus areas are improve new Americans' educational outcomes, maximize economic potential, engaged communities, provide access to services, and ensure all Kent County residents are and feel safe and connected communities. The Kent County Administrator's Office received a $10,000 grant from the GRCF Fund for Community Good to support the operational expenses of the Kent County Welcome Plan Collaborative and Welcome Plan goals and priorities. The grant will contribute to operational costs for the Welcome Plan Collaborative Workgroup projects and priorities, Welcome Plan community engagement and outreach events, and translation and interpretation services. The evaluation of the Welcome Plan will be administered by the Data and Metrics Workgroup. Evaluation will include qualitative and quantitative data from partner organizations within the Welcome Plan Collaborative, which includes 60 Kent County organizations, a gap analysis, and using baseline data to compare to future survey results in the initial set of indicators from the Welcome Plan, strategic planning surveys, and focus groups. The grant term is February 3, 2023 through September 30, 2023. Assistant Corporate Counsel will review and approve the agreement as to form prior to signature.
Thanks, Al. Is there a motion for this item? Moved by Commissioner Sparks, support by Commissioner Oliver King. Any questions or comments regarding this? Yes, Commissioner Sparks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm really excited to see this plan move forward. I remember when it first started a few years ago and what it's blossomed to now. So thank you for taking that on your plate, Al. And I think that we're going to be able to make a lot of strides with this program. Thank you.
I did want to mention that Holland De La Cruz is our Welcome Plan Coordinator, and so I'm not sure the board has met her, so I just wanted to make sure that we got her face in front of you just a little bit. So.
Welcome, Holland. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for your time.
All right, Commissioner Antor.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering, Al, you mentioned new Americans a couple times. Is this for earmarked for legal immigrants or anybody that coming into the area?
Really, we work heavily with the refugee community. So these are folks that have gone through very stringent process, both before they get to the U.S. and after they get to the U.S.
And we're talking political refugees, war refugees?
Refugees approved by the U.S. government. I imagine there's a whole variety of backgrounds, but Holland, you may want to tackle that.
Yeah. So new Americans essentially means immigrants and refugees residing in Kent County. So it can be people coming from a variety of different countries for a variety of different reasons, some for work, some to flee conflict. So it really is very dependent on person per person. And with resettlement now, there's a lot of different pathways. There's traditional resettlement, and now there's a lot of parolees coming from countries like Ukraine. And then there's Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, and Venezuelan that are also being paroled in. So statuses are complex, but all different, yeah.
I kind of want to make sure we've got, and those, that sounds fine. They've been vetted, they're here, they're invited here. But we want to separate from people that are coming here illegally under the guise of darkness, that we don't know are even here sometimes. I know sometimes taxpayers have a rough time spending taxpayer dollars for illegal activity, because then you're kind of rewarding bad behavior. So I just want to make sure we separate the two and we acknowledge that we have two groups. We have legal and we have illegal, so.
Sure, and I appreciate the comment.
Okay, thank you.
Put your mic down. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Chair. So I think that this is great. I think it's a great way to, to welcome people and ingrain them in our community, and this grant is a great way to move that forward. I just had a question on the 5 priority areas and how you plan to, move those priority areas forward and make a impact with this specific community of new citizens or new Americans, I guess I should say.
Yeah. So the different priority areas are based off of the welcome plan document itself, which is, I know that a lot of you are familiar with it, came out in 2020. But currently in each focus group, so the different work groups that all launched last fall, there's roughly 15 to 30 individuals coming from diverse organizations. So dependent on the priority areas, dependent on who's in that group and who's working together. So a lot of it, what I like to stress when I'm inviting people to engage is organizations partnering to identify gaps and then fill in those gaps. So in the education work group, for example, we have folks anywhere from early childhood, K through 12, universities, adult education programs, so really full spectrum of education. And then another big focus of the work groups is just making sure that we have immigrant and refugee voices at the table. So out of all of the co-chairs, 2 to 3 co-chairs per group, 6 out of the 7 groups have folks from immigrant and refugee backgrounds leading the groups to really keep us focused.
Awesome, thank you. And then in terms of the data and metrics work group, will there be a report out at some point scheduled to come before this board?
Yes, yeah. So right now what we're working on and survey results are coming in is a spring report. The goal is to get it out early June. It might turn into an early summer report. And then we plan to do an annual report in September every year during Welcoming Week, which is like roughly the second week of September every year. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yeah, Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a couple of quick questions. Please forgive me because I should know this, but I'm trying to understand how when you get a $10,000 grant, how does that, I'm trying to understand the scope a little bit of what that means to you. Like,
Yeah.
what is the scope of the entire budget for your, I know you work a lot with other partners in the community and that sort of thing, but I guess to sum it up, how does $10,000 move the needle for you, and what does that look like?
So for me, focuses right now, there's a lot of translation projects that are up and coming. There was a sum of money that was transferred from Samaritas over to Kent County, and that went before a few of you in the room, I know, to accept those funds. But at this point, being able to translate more documents, the Safe and Connected Communities Group recently did a question and answer with a local domestic violence and human trafficking organization, Puertas Abiertas, who serves predominantly Latina women and families. And so they had a question and answer, they had small breakout rooms, and they developed a FAQ sheet for common questions to law enforcement from immigrant communities. And so I have that and am translating it into the top 4 languages through the Kent County Sheriff's Department language line. So Spanish, Swahili, Kinyarwanda, and Burmese. But we'll continue. So, for example, the spring report that's coming out, it's going to be a couple pages. I'd like to at least identify 5 languages to translate it into. And then another big cost is just community engagement. And so being able to go to different cultural festivals throughout the summer, support them, share materials and services, invite more people to engage. And then as we approach Welcoming Week, there'll be some events as well. So a variety of different costs, but a big part, honestly, is language related.
I appreciate that, and I wish you continued success in the work. I think you guys are doing a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, Commissioner Oliver King.
Great. So how do you identify those that are being welcomed into our community?
That's a great question. So ideally, it's everyone, right? Anybody, so because the welcome plan and where the grant started and strategic planning process is focused on new Americans, that's anyone coming from any country residing in Kent County. And I recently was doing a little map to kind of identify those, and it's quite impressive. Almost the entire world is lit up of who lives in Kent County. But for the most part, the intention is any services, anything that we're setting up to be able to be more welcoming and inclusive is going to have a positive impact on anyone residing in Kent County, regardless of their background or country of origin.
Helen, is it fair to say that a number would come through Bethany or Samaritas?
Bethany, Samaritas are probably the main, and then work, right? A lot of people come here to work. And so hospitals, universities, things of that nature. So different people coming on work visas to live and work in Kent County is another common reason to immigrate here.
Great questions. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
That brings us to our next item on the agenda, which is miscellaneous. Is there any Commissioner miscellaneous? Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, since we have a few spare minutes this morning, I've heard bits and pieces of what's happening with the Whitewater project and kind of getting denied, the Whitewater piece. I'm just curious what's happening with that and our part, Kent County level.
So Kent County still has funds budgeted in CIP. I think the extension was through the end of this year. And Jeff, feel free to raise your hand and say, end of 2024? Thank you. So that's the county's involvement. I've been told by the city that they plan to have their permit application in by the end of this year, a modified permit. And they had received 7 out of 9 necessary permits, and I think the big one is the one that went against them finally as far as the actual Whitecaps, which, being kind of a rump historian and having done a lot of reading, there were Whitecaps. That's the historical nature of the Grand River before it was changed. So typically, a state group like that might like to see it restored to what it was historically, but not the case here. So basically, we're going to end up with a similar project with no Whitecaps. That's the defining line. The state said they will not allow the waves to have Whitecaps. And so the city is going to proceed, I'm told, and they're going to get that application in. They believe there's a common understanding that it will get approved, and they hope to be in the river next year as soon as permitting, as soon as allowable by weather and all that. So that's kind of where it's at. So the park, the recreation aspects, all that is still planned to move forward.
Okay, so it's just the rapids can't be too big.
The boulders have to be placed or as to not create Whitecaps when the water rushes down
It was the state
That was Eagle that made that determination. They drew a hard line at Whitecaps. And the choice, obviously, at this point is multiple years of litigation and the project just not happening, or do you basically take what you can get, make lemonade out of lemons, and move forward? So that's what they're doing.
Maybe the Whitecaps will occur naturally somehow.
Maybe the baseball team will have to be the non-Whitecaps.
I was going to say, I hope that doesn't affect the contract part.
Commissioner Antor.
I know we're in miscellaneous right now, but I wanted to tag on, originally, it was all about the Whitewater. That was this whole thing. That was it. The rest of the stuff was just added benefit to what we were really trying to do. So I'm curious about the amount of money that we put into this. Al, you weren't here when we first negotiated this thing, but do you know how much of that money has been spent already?
Jeff, did we spend $500,000 out of 1.2 million? 1.4 million budgeted, 500,000 spent thus far. The balance we've pushed out the deadline to accommodate the permitting problems that the city's had.
So if this thing was to we end up mothballing this thing, would we get that?
But we haven't given the 900,000.
Right, but we've already given the other money. That's gone.
That's gone.
But
that's spent.
We're hanging on to that in escrow.
Right,
So
we're waiting till there is a project moving forward. And once that actually gets permitted and all green lights, and then that's when that money would be released.
You just got to kind of tread lightly because, a lot of people were expecting Whitewater, this rapids, the renovation of what it used to be, and if they see we're spending a lot of money on something that didn't, there's going to be, the optics aren't really good on that, so we have to be prepared to lick our wounds a little bit, I guess, but hopefully whatever they come up with is still going to be I know Sixth Street Dam's going to remain, and that was the other piece that they wanted to take that out really badly, so anyhow, it's just live and learn, I guess. Thank you.
Is there any other Commissioner miscellaneous? All right, seeing none, we are adjourned. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, May 16, in this room at 8:30 a.m., and hopefully it's no longer winter at that point.